Hey everyone, I'm Austin Webb, CEO and co-founder of Troupe. I'm here with Jennifer Sikora and Julie Bryce, who are both rockstar CMOs. And we're talking about messaging effectiveness and metrics around messaging, all within a B2B setting. So the question I have for you two is, what are the best metrics for messaging, and should product marketing own these?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, marketers and revenue leaders, this is a team sport, right? So there's no one metric that a product marketer or a CMO or anyone leading messaging and positioning can say, hey, this is what I'm going to hang my hat on. At the end of the day, messaging accuracy, messaging success contributes to pipeline. It contributes to higher win rates. It should increase increase your sales velocity and decrease days to close. Those are all metrics that I typically look at. I also like to look at and encourage others to look at more qualitative metrics. So, for example, if you are product marketer and you're running an analyst briefing program, what's your success rate in landing analyst coverage? There's no doubt that messaging and positioning plays a huge role in analyst relation success, even more so if you can begin to land some of your messaging points in their coverage. So one of the things I like to look for is not just did you get the coverage you were hoping for, did the analyst cite the key message points that you designed into your briefing, and does that reflect the messaging and positioning of the company? I think that's a great one. I think AEO is a great one too, right? Many people I know are looking at their SEO AEO strategy as a way to measure their messaging and positioning efficacy. Before generative AI, I would say like increase in named search. So was a good way to tell, because you're sort of building brand awareness around some of your key messaging and positioning. I think there are lots of ways to tie SEO and AEO to messaging and positioning. It really depends on your goals, but knowing what you're tracking and then looking at that longitudinally is a great first step.
Yeah, I would definitely place my emphasis on the sales outcomes, which Julie had already mentioned a few of those. Reflecting on some of my challenges in measuring this in the past, it was also always dominated by opinion. There was no real data. So people would have debates about messaging, but it was all anecdotal, it was all circumstantial, it was one-off reference points, but nobody had actually a data set that said, when we use this messaging, this happened. When we use this messaging, this happened. So what I would love to see is how, like, the before and after, or the presence versus the absence of messages, and how, as Julie mentioned a few, I would be looking at are our conversion rates from one sales stage to the next increasing or decreasing against our average if we use this message versus this message, or our win rates lifting versus not lifting, or objections going up or down, are they getting resolved more quickly? I agree with Julie's other messaging examples for metrics outside of the sales circle, but as a CMO, I think, or former CMO, I think so much is dependent right now on proving your influence on revenue, that those are some key metrics that I'd be focused on.
I
Yeah, they
think
have
those
to go
are
hand in hand. You're right, Jennifer.
Yeah, I think those are both really great answers. And just to summarize what I heard from you too, right, is in the past we haven't really been able to have any form of messaging attribution, right? We've had all this attribution within go to market, but around this idea of measuring story, measuring capital M messaging, even measuring lowercase m messaging, we've never really had the ability to tie that. But what's really important today, now that we can with a tool like Troop, is being able to tie messaging effectiveness to revenue, and some of the key metrics that then sort of build up to that element of, did we move revenue or not, are things like win rate, and right, did we get win rate lift, conversion rate lifts, objection handling effectiveness. Of all the objection handling responses we could have, it turns out these are the ones that move the dial the most, right? Competitive wins, so messaging around specific competitors. Those were some of the specific metrics I heard from you all. And to put those all together is this idea of that all ties to revenue, that moves the dollar symbol at the top line. And that's something that, Troop is a solution that puts all of that into one spot, right? Which is, what do we want to say? Why do we want to say it? Are we actually saying it? And then, hey, are we actually moving these metrics and tying messaging to these metrics for the first time?
Yeah, and I think the challenge, Austin, is that if you're a marketing leader or own some portion of the marketing or go-to-market function, and it's good days, right? And you're seeing revenue wins and you're up and to the right, you still have to generate evidence that your go-to-market motions, your messaging, positioning contributed to it. Because if you are closing deals and their sales velocity, as we all know, it's very easy for revenue leaders to take credit for that. And so I think marketing sales is an interesting position to make sure that you can connect other data points to those wins. And I think Troupe is so powerful in that way because it connects those dots in a way that everyone can win together, but messaging and efficacy can be part of the story, which we know it is, right? Our gut, our instinct is that we know it is. We know when we're winning, likely our messaging is resonating. We've lacked a powerful way to measure that in the past. And I think that's one of the reasons I get really excited about Troupe.